Hello and welcome to this special episode of the Ambrosian Well-Being podcast. As we observe World Cancer Day, we pause to honor the incredible strength, resilience, and hope of those who have faced cancer and the people who walk beside them. Joining us today is someone who has lived through that journey and emerged with wisdom and courage that it can inspire us all. My guest today is an absolute powerhouse, a talented, creative, a storyteller, and someone who's faced life ahead on. At 21, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, but instead of letting it define her, she fought back with strength, positivity, and grace. On the professional front, she's an associate creative director who turns stories into sensations, crafting words that sell, stir, and sometimes spark wanderlust. A published author and a travel writer, she blends heart and creativity to transform brands into living, breathing experiences. When she's not shaping narratives, she's chasing new cities or capturing the poetry in everyday life. We are so happy to have her with us today to share her journey, one that's both deeply personal and incredibly inspiring. Welcome, Rachel, on the show today.
Thank you so much, ma'am Shell.
Let's start at the beginning, Rachel. Can you take us back to the moment when you first heard about your diagnosis? What was going through your mind and how did you begin it, process it emotionally?
I was with my parents at the oncologist, and like you rightly said, I was just 21. When I heard the words, "you have cancer" for the first time, I could almost feel my world coming down, crumbling in front of my eyes. And it was almost like I was in disbelief because, I was healthy, I was young, I was doing everything right. So the first part of the diagnosis was sort of being in denial that, hey, this can't be true. Um, I remember running out of the diagnosis room and just walking outside with surgical stitches and a surgical belt, sitting at a nariyal pani wala by the roadside in Chembur and just crying because it was all beginning to hit me really hard. And as much as I wanted to continue living in denial, I knew I could not. I think once I had realized and let this shocker sink in, I knew that I had to do better than like letting fear take over because the fact that, I was accepting what is happening was the first step for me in the right direction. Of course, then came, asking the right questions, uh, figuring it out, like figuring the entire process, what would be the next few steps. There was a certain sense of relief also to know that a few sessions of chemotherapy and a certain amount of treatment would actually, reverse it. I think that itself gave me a lot of hope and courage to keep going. And like the mindset basically then moved from what was out of my hands into what was in my control. That's when it started making sense emotionally and in general. Yeah.
That must have been such a tough space to be in, not just physically, but definitely mentally. Cancer doesn't just test the body, it shakes your sense of control and hope. On those really hard days, what helped you cope? Was it people, faith, therapy, or something within yourself that kept you going?
I think uh, I think I would say it was a little bit of everything. Um,
Sure.
Definitely self because I like the way I had perceived the situation and the way I decided maybe or went forward definitely made me feel stronger, made me feel like I got this, my mindset, everything helped a little bit, but it was definitely the family, the friends, the support system that, I had people coming in. At one point, it was almost like some sort of miracle because every day at my house, there would just be somebody or the other showing up to see me, to pray for me. The most like random faces that I might have not seen in church ever, but for whatever reason, maybe they knew me, or they could remember me from some event or something or the other. And I just had like people constantly pouring in. So there was support in every way. There was support, religiously, there was support from family, friends, and definitely, I mean, I had a lot of faith in God and in general in myself and in the system that yeah, like everything that is happening is definitely going to get me out of this. So I think it was like a little bit of everything that helped me cope. And definitely along with that, having a positive mindset, just having like a I got this attitude. And it wasn't easy. It's not a cakewalk. So yeah, there were days I might have like fallen apart, but there were days I really, really had myself together. And just almost every other time I had a visitor, I'd probably just treat it like someone's just come by for a catch up and not, like someone's come to see me and I'm not well or something. And I think that itself would change the entire vibe and environment of the space I was in.
Yes, and I'm sure during that time, people around you, family, friends, colleagues, and some of us who came to see you were
Yeah.
absolutely perfect. It was just like you had fever and got out of it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so good to see you, sometimes with that extra love that people give you, sometimes with a lot of silence. How did your relationship then change through your period? What kind of support really made a difference to you? Did support really make a difference to you?
So, support definitely made a difference to me, but what I learned during this time was also there's something called cancer ghosting, and the diagnosis literally, it puts light on. It's like they say, difficult times show you who the real ones are. And while some of the people, really showed up for me, even people I did not necessarily expect, people who I may have treated as just acquaintances, or maybe people who were in my class, but not necessarily friends or whatever. But there were people who really showed up. Of course, then there was close family, friends, cousins, uh, everyone who would, who really showed up for me. But at the same time, shockingly, there were people who just disappeared, no contact, no nothing, did not reach out. And initially, it hit me hard. It was difficult, especially knowing that people who I used to maybe travel with every day, people whom I have spent like 5 years of college with, or, day in and day out, have just suddenly disappeared on me. And I sometimes really wanted to like maybe write to them and just find out like what wrong did I do. And that there were times where I probably caught myself thinking this is not contagious, like what is this behavior. But eventually actually came to realize that cancer ghosting is the thing. And maybe people just don't know what to say to you, maybe people just don't know how to reach out to you. And maybe, which is why like there is no outreach from their end. And at that point, it was really not okay. But over the time, I have accepted the situation, and I think it is what it is. So, moved on from that and come a long way. While there were people who've really, really been there back then and continue to be there in different ways. It can be a small message, someone showing up with flowers at my doorstep, someone just coming and spending an evening with me. Vegan was one of them who would always show up with a different set of flowers. So when just give me that time. I think grand gestures were not something I was looking for in that moment. The tiniest of things like a call or a text or message, eh, anything with emotional honesty, anything that just made me feel like, oh my God, I feel so bonded with this person, or someone simply showing up to my bedside and saying a prayer and leaving. I think these are the things that,
A
like, this is
very
how different.
difficult
Yeah.
patch,
Yeah.
a very
Yeah.
difficult patch. Now,
Yeah.
coming out through that, life must have felt a little different. Often, recovery brings a new kind of clarity. How has your idea of well being, ambition, or balance changed since then? What feels more important to you today?
So, I think after that, my whole attitude towards maybe like life itself changed because, it's like a second chance at life. You feel so grateful to even have it and be here today. And I think suddenly everything else just took a backseat, even though that was just like the starting of my career, because 21, probably barely have like, gotten out of college and worked for like a good 3 to 6 months. And, you're chasing your ambitions and like ambitions and everything. But I think suddenly everything just took a backseat and my health. back then and even today, like life after cancer takes the front seat. Like it takes it, I always say this, like if it's in my comfort zone, I will do it. I'm not going to push myself beyond for anything, be it deadlines, be it a party, be it anything. Because the whole like way I view life only has changed. So suddenly well-being has taken the center of my life. Uh what I eat, what I do, how I spend my time. Uh Anything. I mean, work also, how much do I take on? Do I not take on? What do I say no to? Simple things like maybe a little bit of reading, watching time. I mean, I binge watch a lot. A little slow walk, or like just a slow morning with a cup of coffee. A lot of things, I think, after recovery just suddenly changed for me, and I started realizing the importance of these teeny tiny small moments in life.
So yeah, I think your me time moments really help you,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful. You found your way of recouping your system and how to process it. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for opening up and sharing such an honest and powerful story, Rachel. It takes
Thank you
so
so
much of
much.
strength, I'm sure, to revisit those moments and that journey that you went through. At Ambrosian Wellbeing, we believe that true recovery begins with emotional and mental wellness. Given the same care that is important as physical health. To everyone
Yeah.
listening, take a moment to pause, breathe, and reach out to someone who might need your support. Healing begins with empathy. Until next time, stay well, kind, and remember, well being is a journey best taken together. Cheers. Take care.